Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about metals and non-metals. In our previous class, we have discussed about physical properties of metals as well as non-metals. Today we are going to discuss about chemical properties. What physical properties already we have discussed? That is, physical properties of metals like metals are malleable, ductile, and they are good conductors of heat as well as electricity, and also metals are lustrous in nature and generally hard, strong, solid at room temperature, and they have high melting and boiling point, as well as metals have high densities and they are sonorous in nature, and usually metals are grey in color except copper and gold. Same like this, we have discussed about the properties of non-metals. That is, non-metals are neither malleable nor ductile. They are brittle in nature and they do not conduct heat and electricity, and not lustrous and generally soft, and they are not strong. Non-metals are maybe solid, liquid or gases at room temperature, as well as they have low melting points as well as boiling points, and non-metals have low densities and they are not sonorous, as well as they have many different colors. Today we are going to discuss about some exceptions. See here, exceptions in physical properties. See, we have studied that metals are hard in nature, but alkali metals like lithium, sodium and potassium are exceptions. Already we have discussed these metals are soft in nature. These metals are soft in nature, and we know that a carbon, it is in the form of diamond, it is a non-metal which is extremely hard in nature. It is extremely hard in nature. These alkali metals are soft in nature, so we can cut these metals by using knife. And next, see, mercury is a liquid metal. So what we have discussed already, the physical state, we have studied that metals are solids in nature generally, but mercury, it is a metal that is in liquid at room temperature. It is a metal which is a liquid at room temperature. And same like this, lead and mercury. Lead, that is, what's the symbol? Pb, and mercury, Hg. This lead and mercury are poor conductors of heat. Lead and mercury are poor conductors of heat. And also this mercury expands. That's why we are using this mercury in a laboratory thermometer, because while heating, this mercury expands significantly for the slightest change in temperature. So that's why we are using this mercury in a laboratory thermometer. So these alkali metals like sodium, potassium and lithium can be cut using a knife. Mercury is a liquid metal. Lead and mercury are poor conductors of heat and mercury expands. So next we have some more exceptions also. That is, gallium and cesium have a very low melting point. So what we have discussed about melting point? That is, generally we have studied that metals have high melting points and boiling points, but these soft metals are exceptions, as well as these metals like gallium and cesium have very low melting point. And we know that metals are luster, that is lustrous in nature, but iodine is a non-metal which is lustrous, so having a shining surface. So iodine is a non-metal but it has luster. Same like this, graphite is a non-metal but it conducts electricity. Graphite is a non-metal, it conducts electricity, as well as diamond conducts heat and also it has very high melting point. Diamond, we know that, already I said to you, it is one of the form of carbon. It is a non-metal which is extremely hard, as well as this diamond has high melting points. And these are some exceptions. That is, gallium and cesium have very low melting point. Iodine is a non-metal but it has luster. Graphite conducts electricity but it is a non-metal. A diamond conducts heat as well as and has a very high melting point. It has very high melting point as well as it has high boiling point, just like metals. So these are some exceptions in physical properties. Now we are going to discuss about the chemical properties of non-metals and metals. Listen. Generally, metals and non-metals show different chemical properties. So first we will discuss about the reaction of metals with oxygen. That is, metals generally burnt in air, they react with oxygen of air to form metal oxides. That is, metal plus oxygen gives metal oxide. That is, already I have discussed about this. That is, metal generally reacts with oxygen to form metal oxide. This metal oxide is basic in nature. What is meant by basic? That is, metals reacts with oxygen to form metal oxide. These metal oxides are basic in nature because when these metal oxides reacts with water to form alkalis. What is alkali? That is, bases dissolved in water to form alkali. So these metal oxides are basic in nature, and generally this metal oxides turn red litmus to blue. Red litmus to blue. So metal reacts with oxygen to form metal oxide. For example, here it is given, that is, magnesium combines with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Magnesium combines with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Same like this, sodium combines with oxygen to form sodium oxide. So potassium metal also same like this, reacts with oxygen to form potassium oxide. And do you know, children, this sodium and potassium are soft metals as well as react easily with oxygen to form their oxides. And these sodium and potassium metals we need to store under kerosene. Do you know why? Because potassium metal and sodium metal are stored under kerosene oil to prevent their reaction with oxygen, moisture and carbon dioxide of air. Because with this sodium and potassium reacts vigorously and sometimes it may catch fire. So due to that, to avoid these metals we need to store under kerosene oil to prevent their reaction with this oxygen, moisture and carbon dioxide. Magnesium, aluminium, zinc, lead react slowly with air and form a protective layer that prevents corrosion. So we know very well, already I have explained to you, that is, before burning magnesium we need to clean this with the help of sandpaper because it forms a protective layer on it. So we need to clean magnesium ribbon with the help of sandpaper. And same like this, silver, platinum and gold. These metals do not burn or do not react with air because we know very well these metals are least reactive metals. These metals are least reactive metals. That means will not react readily with other substance. So these are least reactive. So do not burn or do not react with air. And then same like this, we have some question also. See how they will ask questions. See what happens when a magnesium ribbon is heated in presence of air. So how will you answer for this question? So you know very well, when a magnesium ribbon is heated in presence of air, it gives a dazzling white flame. That is a white powdery like substance that is called magnesium oxide. Then you have to write the equation. Do you remember what is meant by equation? It is a short way of representing a chemical reaction with the help of symbols and formulas. So in our previous class I said to you already, so you have to mention like these questions with the help of equation. You can write a word equation also, that is magnesium plus oxygen gives magnesium oxide. And next see, one more question that is given to you. What happens when a copper vessel is exposed to moist air for long? Also write the equation. What is meant by moist air? That is, air contains water vapor. That is, see here, answer is given. When a copper vessel is exposed to moist air for long, it acquires a dull green coating. See, this green material is a mixture of copper hydroxide. That is, do you know what's the formula for copper hydroxide? That is CuOH twice and copper carbonate. This is a mixture of copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. See, the reaction is given. Cu, that is copper, plus H2O, water, plus CO2, carbon dioxide, plus O2, oxygen, gives CuOH twice, copper hydroxide, plus CuCO3, copper carbonate. Listen carefully once again. Copper plus water plus carbon dioxide plus oxygen gives copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. So, what is called moist air? That is, air contain water vapor, H2O plus CO2 plus O2. So, when copper reacts with moist air, it forms green coating. That green coating is nothing. It is made with the help of mixture of copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. So, you have to write this equation with the help of word equation or like this with the help of chemical equation. How will you write the word equation? Just write with the help of word. That is, copper plus water plus carbon dioxide plus oxygen gives copper hydroxide plus copper carbonate, or with the help of like this chemical equation. Next, we are going to discuss about the one more chemical reaction. Listen. Reaction of metals with water or steam. See, children, metals reacts with water to form a metal hydroxide or metal oxide and hydrogen gas. Do you know all the metals do not react with water? Only some metals only reacts with water. In that, some metals react even with cold water, and some reacts with hot water, and some reacts only with steam. So, based on this, we'll discuss now. And do you know what is steam? Steam is the gaseous form of water. What is steam? It is the gaseous form of water. It is very hot. So, now we are going to discuss about the reaction of metals with water. That is, metal reacts with water, that is cold water or hot water. Then it will produce their metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. For example, when metal reacts with water, like more reactive metals, sodium, potassium, they form their metal hydroxide, and during this reaction they release hydrogen gas. As well as these metals reacts with steam to form metal oxide and hydrogen. For example, we can say that metals generally like magnesium reacts with hot water, and aluminum and zinc and iron. Aluminum, zinc, iron. These metals generally react with steam to form their oxides. So, sodium and potassium react vigorously with cold water, and these metals react very slow. So, some metals do not react with cold water also. So, only some metals reacts with cold water and some metals reacts with hot water. Do you know, in this, calcium reacts with cold water to form their calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. But this reaction is not vigorous like sodium and potassium. So, in this reaction, the heat produced in this reaction is less violent, and which is not sufficient to burn the hydrogen gas. So, the piece of calcium metal, listen children, the piece of calcium metal starts floating in water because the bubbles of hydrogen gas formed during this reaction stick to its surface. Hydrogen gas formed during this reaction stick to its surface. That's why calcium metal starts floating in water. So, the reaction of calcium metal with water is less violent. So, calcium is less reactive than sodium. So why calcium floats on water? They will ask questions. Keep it in your mind. Next, we are going to discuss about the reaction of nonmetals with water. See, nonmetals generally do not react with water like metals. So, very few nonmetals only reacts with water, that we will discuss in your higher classes. Generally, nonmetals do not react with water. Next, we are going to discuss about the next chemical reaction with metals, that is reaction of metals with acid. Generally, metals reacts with dilute acid to form metal salt and release hydrogen gas. Do you know what is meant by dilute acid? Already we have discussed in your 7th standard itself, that is diluting acid and concentrated acid. Concentrated acid means that acid which contain this minimum possible amount of water, but dilute acid means the dilution contains, that is more water. Dilution contains more water in acid. So we know already. So in this, now we are going to discuss about some examples. Listen. Sodium reacts with hydrochloric acid to form sodium chloride and hydrogen gas, and same sodium suppose reacts with sulfuric acid to form sodium sulfate and hydrogen gas. Some more examples. Magnesium reacts with hydrochloric acid to form magnesium chloride and hydrogen, and aluminium reacts with hydrochloric acid to form aluminium chloride and hydrogen. Same like this, iron reacts slowly with cold dilute hydrochloric acid to give iron 2 chloride and hydrogen gas, but copper does not react with dilute hydrochloric acid or dilute sulfuric acid at all. Copper does not react with dilute hydrochloric acid as well as dilute sulfuric acid. Based on this, I'll ask one question to you children. Listen carefully, see the question. Can you store the lemon pickle in an aluminum utensil? See the question once again. Can you store the lemon pickle in an aluminum utensil? See, what's your answer? No, we can't. Why? What's the reason? Because lemon pickle consists of acids which reacts with aluminum metal. Generally it produces salt and hydrogen. That's why we will not store lemon pickles in aluminum utensil, because they produce salt and hydrogen. And then next, the reaction of nonmetals with dilute acid. What about the reaction of nonmetals with dilute acids? Generally, nonmetals do not react with dilute acids. Generally, nonmetals do not react with dilute acids. If nonmetals like carbon, sulfur or phosphorus are put into a test tube that is containing suppose dilute sulfuric acid or dilute hydrochloric acid, then there is no hydrogen gases produced. There is no hydrogen gases released. So that's why we can identify nonmetals do not react with the dilute acids. What about the reaction of metals with bases? See, the reaction of metals with bases. Generally, bases reacts with metals to form salt and hydrogen. Most of the bases do not react with metals. Only very few bases only react, like sodium hydroxide reacts with zinc metal to form sodium zincate and hydrogen. See the formula of sodium hydroxide, NaOH. And what's the formula for sodium zincate? Na2ZnO2. So, like acids, bases also reacts with metal to form salt and hydrogen. Next, the reaction of metals with other metal salt solution. See how the metals reacts with other metal salt solution. Already we have discussed in our previous class, that is high reactive metal displaces the low reactive metal from its salt solution. Do you know children what's the name of this process? High reactive metal displaces the low reactive metal. Yes, the name of this reaction is called displacement reaction. See here, more reactive metals displace less reactive metals from their metal compounds in aqueous solutions are called displacement reaction. In this reaction, whether it is a more reactive metal easily can displace the place of less reactive metal from its salt solution. For example, generally copper can displace the place of very less reactive like silver, not like sodium, because sodium is more reactive than copper, silver is less reactive than copper. See how we will discuss about this based on displacement reaction based on reactivity series of metals. See here, it is given the reactivity series order. See here, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, carbon, zinc, iron, tin, lead, hydrogen, copper, silver, gold, platinum. In this, the top of the reactivity series metals are called most reactive metals, and bottom we have least reactive metals. And then how these metals will displace from one another. For example, sodium is more reactive than copper, but silver is least reactive than copper. So, sodium can displace copper, as well as zinc is more reactive than copper. So, zinc also can displace, but silver cannot displace copper because silver is least reactive than copper. Here it is given one example to you. Listen. Metal A plus salt of metal B gives salt of metal A plus metal B. See what is this? That is one metal. Suppose for example it is given here iron reacts with copper sulfate solution. It forms iron sulfate and copper. So these type of reactions are called displacement reactions. Here iron is more reactive than copper. So this iron can displace copper from copper sulfate solution. Do you know what's the color of copper sulfate? That is blue color. And here in this reaction, after reaction, the blue color copper sulfate changes into green color iron sulfate. Then iron acquires brownish look. So this is also one of the examples for displacement reaction, that is iron reacts with copper sulfate to form iron sulfate and copper. So blue color copper sulfate changes into green color iron sulfate. So this is one of the example for displacement. Then we can give many more example like this. Instead of iron we can write zinc. Zinc also displaces copper from copper sulfate. But instead of iron we can write silver. Silver cannot displace copper because it is least reactive than copper. Then next, metalloids. What is metalloid? That is the elements which possess the properties of metals and nonmetals are called metalloids. For example, boron, silicon, germanium, tellurium, arsenic and antimony. These are called metalloids. These are called metalloids. That is, they have the properties of both metals as well as non-metals. So these are called metalloids. About this you will discuss in your higher classes. Just you have to know what are metalloids. These have the properties of both metals as well as non-metals. Then we are going to discuss about the uses of metals and non-metals. See, what are the uses of metals? Generally, metals are used in many places. Here it is given some example. Copper and aluminium are used to make wires. Copper and aluminium are used to make wires for carrying electric currents. And then zinc is used for galvanizing iron to protect iron from rusting. What is rusting? Iron in presence of air and moisture, it forms a new substance, that is hydrated ferric oxide. It is called rust. Hydrated ferric oxide is chemically called rust. So zinc is used for galvanizing iron to protect iron from rusting. Then silver, gold and platinum. These metals are used to make jewelry. Then iron, copper and aluminium metals are used to make utensils for cooking and for manufacturing machine parts. Same like this. This silver and gold metals like these thin foils made of silver and gold. Thin foils made of silver and gold are used to decorate sweets. And then that next, that sodium metals, titanium metal and zirconium metal, these are used in atomic energy and space science project, used in atomic energy and also in space science project. Then mercury is used in thermometer, and lead is mainly used for making electrode for automobile battery like car batteries, and for making alloys. What are alloys? Alloys are homogeneous mixture of two or more metal with metals or non-metal. So two or more metals joined together to make alloy. Then uses of metals, we have some more uses also. That is, generally zirconium is one of the metal that is used in making bulletproof alloy steel. It is used for making bulletproof alloy steel. And also same like this, aluminum foil. Aluminum also one of the metal, you know that. Aluminum foils are used in packaging, medicine, cigarette and food materials. So these are uses of metals. Next we are going to discuss about the uses of non-metals. Listen. Hydrogen is one of the non-metal that is used in manufacturing ammonia. That is industrial chemical preparation. We will use this hydrogen. And also next, this we know very well, liquid hydrogen is used as a rocket fuel. Liquid hydrogen is used as a rocket fuel. Then liquid nitrogen. This is used in refrigerant in storing human organs at low temperature. Liquid nitrogen is used in refrigerant, and also it is used in storing human organs at low temperature. Then sulfur, this is also one of the non-metal. It is yellow in color, is used in manufacture of sulfuric acid, sulfur dioxide and sulfur drugs. Same like this, this sulfur is used for vulcanization of rubber and making gunpowder. Vulcanization of rubber and for making gunpowder. And this sulfur is used for manufacturing sulfuric acid also. The sulfur is used for manufacturing sulfuric acid also. And then next, that is non-metals like phosphorus is used in the manufacture of fertilizer. Do you know, children, this phosphorus we will store under water because it is highly explosive in nature, that is exothermic. It catch fire easily. That's why we will store this phosphorus and water. We know already, we have discussed about sodium and potassium store under kerosene. Same like this phosphorus will store under water. And silicon is used for making semiconductors. And then next, chlorine is used for disinfecting drinking water. And oxygen, what is oxygen? This we know it is very essential for our breathing. So oxygen is used in breathing support system for patients, as well as generally we need oxygen for breathing. So you know very well, we will breathe with the help of oxygen. Then see, same like this, non-metals like that is nitrogen, carbon, liquid nitrogen, liquid hydrogen, and we are using in many places. Do you know where we will use carbon? That is carbon in the form of graphite. We will use for making electrode of electrolytic cell and dry cell. And then you know very well that pencil lead also it is made with the help of graphite, isn't it? Yes. So next we are going to discuss about some question and answers. Just listen. See here, it is given some fill in the blanks. See, dash is the best conductor of electricity, followed by gold and aluminium. What is this? Next to gold and aluminium, copper is the best conductor of electricity. So next one, the property by virtue of which metal can be beaten into sheets is called. See, the metals can be beaten into thin sheet. What's the name of that property? It is called malleability. What's the name? That is malleability. And next, which is used in foil to pack food. Just now we have discussed, that is aluminum metal is used in foil to pack food. And then the property by which metal can be drawn into thin wires, that is called ductility. And then the noble gases helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. These are noble gases. Occurs only in which state? That is free state. Like gold and platinum, these also occurs in free state. And next it is given some more 1 marks. Listen. Dash is the non-metal which is in liquid at room temperature. That is which is the non-metals which is liquid at room temperature? Bromine. What's the symbol for bromine? It is Br. And dash are the non-metals which has luster. So which are lustrous non-metals? Graphite and iodine. Graphite and iodine are lustrous non-metal. The only liquid metal is mercury. What's the liquid metal? Mercury. Boron and silicon are examples of metalloids. And dash react with oxygen vigorously at room temperature. We know very well. Sodium and potassium reacts vigorously with water as well as oxygen. Then dash react with oxygen only if ignited. That is magnesium. Magnesium reacts with oxygen only if ignited. Then metallic oxides are generally basic in nature. Non-metallic oxides are generally acidic in nature, because already in your previous class we have discussed metals, generally metallic oxide reacts with water to form bases and non-metallic oxide reacts with water to form acids. So metallic oxides are basic in nature, non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Now we will discuss about some question and answers. Listen. With the help of equations, explain the reaction of nonmetals with oxygen. See, already we have discussed about the reaction of metals with oxygen. Same like this, here we are going to discuss about the reaction of nonmetals with oxygen. See, what will happen? Generally, nonmetals reacts with oxygen to form their nonmetal oxides. See here, nonmetals react with oxygen to form acidic oxides. Generally, nonmetal oxides are acidic in nature, we know very well, but most of the nonmetals react with oxygen on ignition. So, the equation are given below. See here, carbon reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Sulfur reacts with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide. So, what's the formula for carbon dioxide? CO2. And then sulfur dioxide, SO2. So, carbon and sulfur, these are nonmetals. So, generally, nonmetals reacts with oxygen to form their nonmetallic oxide, that is acidic oxides. Next, why are electric cables made from copper? You know very well, copper is a good conductor of electricity. Mainly, most of the metals are good conductor of electricity. In that, silver is the best conductor of electricity. But because of high cost, we will not use silver for making electrical cables. But copper is a good conductor of electricity. It is used in electric cables. Then next one, which non-metal is considered to be backbone of the electronic industry? See, mainly in electronic industry, we will use a non-metal, it is silicon. See, do you know what's the symbol for silicon? It is Si. Silicon is considered to be the backbone of electronic industry. Then, why is sodium metal stored under kerosene? See, we know very well, sodium metal reacts vigorously with oxygen, and also it reacts vigorously with water, and it reacts with oxygen to form sodium oxide, and reacts vigorously with water to form sodium hydroxide. You know very well. And this sodium metal is more reactive metal like potassium, and this sodium metal which react vigorously with the oxygen present in air at room temperature to form sodium oxide. Do you know what's the formula for sodium oxide? It is Na2O. What's the formula? Na2O. So only sodium is stored under kerosene to prevent reaction with oxygen and moisture present in air, because easily reacts with oxygen or moisture and easily readily reacts to form easily catch fire also. So that's why we are storing the sodium metal under kerosene, and same like this potassium also we are storing under kerosene. The sodium as well as potassium metal will store under kerosene. And the next one, copper coins develop greenish patches when kept unused for a long time. Why? Copper coins develop greenish patches when kept unused for a long time. Why? See, do you remember copper is a metal, and when this copper metal is exposed to moist air for a long time, that is already we have discussed this equation. When this copper metal reacts with moist air, what is moist air? That is water vapor mixes in air and carbon dioxide to form moist air. So when copper is exposed to moist air for a long time, it acquires a greenish coating. See, do you remember what's the name of this greenish coating? It is a mixture of copper hydroxide as well as copper carbonate. Already we have discussed about this. What's the formula for copper hydroxide? CuOH twice. Copper carbonate, CuCO3. Remember, it is not CuOH2, this is CuOH twice, because the 2 is common for both oxygen as well as hydrogen. So you should read CuOH twice, not CuOH2. This is the reaction of copper coins with moist air. It will form copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. This reaction is looks like that is rusting. Do you know what is rusting? We know very well. Rusting also takes place with the help of metals with water vapor. That is, iron reacts with oxygen and moisture to form iron oxide. Iron reacts with oxygen and moisture to form iron oxide. What's the formula for moisture? It is H2O, because it is water vapor, so H2O. Iron reacts with oxygen and moisture to form iron oxide. This iron oxide is brown in color, and commonly it is known as rust. Otherwise, iron reacts with oxygen in presence of moisture to form hydrated ferric oxide. Actually, with this Fe2O3, water molecule is added. That name is called hydrated ferric oxide. That is chemically called rust. Instead of this, already we have discussed in our previous year. That is, we have write this equation Fe plus O2 plus XH2O. XH2O, that is number of water molecules, it is mentioned in the form of XH2O, gives Fe2O3 into XH2O. That means number of water molecules will mention in the form of X. Instead of that, we can write the water molecule. So Fe plus O2 plus XH2O gives Fe2O3 into XH2O. This is the formation of rust. What's the chemical name of rust? It is hydrated ferric oxide. What's the chemical name of rust? Hydrated ferric oxide. Then state the property of nonmetals due to which phosphorus is kept in water. Because phosphorus, we know that it is non-metal. We have red phosphorus as well as white phosphorus. Mainly that matchstick head is made up of that red phosphorus, you know very well. See, this phosphorus immediately catch fire when we will keep open with the help of room temperature itself and when exposed to air. So this non-metal like phosphorus we will keep inside the water, because generally non-metals do not react with water. Generally non-metals do not react with water. That's why like these easily reacting non-metals like phosphorus will keep kept inside the water. And then next one, a doctor prescribed a tablet to a patient suffering from iron deficiency. Do you know what is iron? Iron is one of the metal, not ION, that is ions. It is a positive ion, negative ion, we have discussed. This is iron, IRON. It is a metal. What's the symbol for iron? It is Fe, because the Latin name for iron is ferrum. Latin name for iron is ferrum. So symbol of iron is Fe. So see the question. A doctor prescribed a tablet to a patient suffering from iron deficiency. The tablet does not look like iron. See, this is your question. Why the tablet does not look like iron? Because for iron deficiency, we will take a salt of iron, not iron metal directly. That's why tablet does not look like iron. So the tablet is not made of iron metal. Instead of it contains a salt of iron. Instead of it contains a salt of iron. So next, what happens when copper turnings are kept in zinc sulfate solution? See, give reason for your answer. We know very well copper is less reactive than zinc. Already we have discussed about displacement reaction, that is a reactivity series. In reactivity series, copper is placed below the zinc or above the zinc. Do you remember? When this copper is placed, this is below the zinc. So zinc is more reactive than copper. So copper cannot displace zinc from a compound. Hence no reaction takes place when copper turnings are kept in zinc sulfate solution. Copper turnings are nothing. It is copper metal. And what's the symbol for copper? It is Cu, because Latin name is cuprum. That's why the symbol is Cu. And this copper is less reactive than zinc. So suppose what will happen when zinc in the place of copper? Because zinc is in the place of copper means zinc displaces copper from copper sulfate, because zinc is more reactive than copper. But here we have only copper, it is less reactive than zinc. So copper cannot displace zinc from compound. Okay children, revise the questions carefully and read once again if you have doubt. Thank you children.